Oof.
It looks like you're angelic. My halo.
I like that you guys are in the barrel room. That's nice.
It was the quietest spot we had, except that they seem to be rolling a dolly above us, moving cans around. So occasionally it will sound like thunder.
Thunder and lightning.
That's right.
Very, very frightening.
Right. And I have a beer here as well. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you drinking Sympathy for the Devil in the afternoon?
So here's what and we're already into it, so I don't care. But here's what I love about these beers, and here's my pitch to every other. This is a challenge, actually, to every other brewery that's making beer out there. And I don't know how you guys will feel about this. So I think everybody should be making beer in these cans when it comes to specialty releases like this. And the reason for that is, and you might hate me for this, but I can open up this Sympathy for the Devil on Thursday. I can have 2 or 3 ounces of it, enjoy it, crank the hell out of it, seal it back up, and enjoy that 4 more times over the next 3 days. And I've tested this on several of these cans, and it tastes just as good on the first 3 ounces as it does on the last 3. And I'm like, this is freaking genius. Why aren't more people doing this?
Yeah, and that's really one of the main reasons that we chose that vessel. We put a lot of time and effort into getting our beer into that package. It was something that was not available in craft, and we worked on a collaboration project with Ball and Oscar Blues to actually get that done. And that's what we love about it, because you can. It's like a growler. So, everybody sells their really big beers in large format, like 32-ounce bottles. Well, nobody wants to sit down and drink 16, let alone 32 ounces of that. So,
right.
I mean, maybe somebody does, but they're going to get crunk.
Yeah. But is that something that you guys have you marketed it that way, where it's like, hey, you can enjoy this on multiple occasions?
We've chatted about it internally, and for folks like you who get to kind of chat with us, we've talked about that. And the reason why we went with that package, oddly enough, because we got to a point where we had a little bit more of the barrel stuff and went to package, and Clay was like, well, I guess we're going to have to put it in bomber bottles. And I went, the hell we are. We're a craft canning brewery, man. So what's that say about us that our rarest, craziest beers go into a glass bottle, but our wonderful other products are okay for a can? So we reached out to Ball and said, hey, do you guys have a package that makes sense that we're looking at? And their first comment was, who the hell are you guys? And then the second one was, oh yeah, cool, we do. And so how many months was it R&D on this?
The actual project, we talked to Ball on and off for maybe like 6 months, because they had some people that would come through Indiana and they'd visit the brewery, and we'd have some meetings and they'd be excited about it. And then it all fell off. This was back in 2011. And so nothing was happening. We hadn't heard from them in months, and because they're a big company. And then the 2011 Great American Beer Festival, we hit the GABF lottery and won 8 medals, 4 golds, 3 silver, and a bronze. And the following week, we were driving somewhere and my phone rang, and it was a guy named Dan who worked for Ball. And it's like, hey, Clay, this is Dan from Ball. And we really like to pick up on that conversation about getting your beer into that twist-off aluminum can. So once we got there, they're headquartered in Colorado, and that R&D project was about 6 months of back and forth to Colorado, and testing fillers and seamers and other things to try to get it done. So
yeah, and they don't really work with too many other folks, do they? On that type of project for that can?
They work with big breweries. Actually, when we really went with the idea, we got out for a meeting and they said, hey, we kicked off the craft canning revolution with Oscar Blues, who's in our backyard over in Longmont. So if we're going to do this, we'd really like to have Oscar Blues involved. And Dave and I have a great friend who at the time was the Oscar Blues head brewer. And we're like, holy shit, we wanted to do a beer with Dave and with Oscar Blues for a long time. But the big problem is that at the time people weren't doing PSL labels, and shrink sleeves were pretty new. Not a lot of people were canning. There were probably 100 breweries in America canning at the time. And we're like, so if we do this, we could do a small run and release it with this collaboration. And so that conversation was started in October. And then we released it at the 2012 Craft Brewers Conference in San Diego, and Ball actually paid to have one of our version and Oscar Blues' version of this Belgian amber ale called Shaka, a 2-pack in every attendee for the Craft Brewers Conference hotel room at the host hotel. So
if you go back onto my Instagram way back, I have a picture of that beer. I remember buying it. It was across from my apartment when I lived in an apartment over in like Castleton area. And I went to go watch UFC at this place called like Fox and Hound maybe, was this bar. And I got so drunk off of that beer at the end of the night, I think I ended up throwing up. It's like one of the last times I puked.
We're glad we could be there. Absolutely. Yeah, that was a sneaky one. I mean, it was 8%, but it didn't drink like 8%. It drank like 5%.
Yeah. So obviously we're in crazy times right now. You guys are coming in from a bunker, obviously, so you're bunkered down. But in all seriousness, how are you guys handling the situation? How have you altered hours? How can people continue to enjoy, fresh local beer from you guys?
Well, I think we're handling it as best we can. We're all of us out there on this blue marble are just doing the best we can, given the circumstances that we have. So, as things come at us, we have to pivot. It seems weekly for sure, but almost daily on, making sure that we're being safe, that the guests coming in who are supporting us feel that the environment's safe. They can come in and get to go beer, or they can pop a trunk for some curbside service presently.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, I'm sure for you and anyone watching this, it's like the last 2 months have been some of the longest 2 months in history. And, sometimes a day goes by and feels like a week, and sometimes a week goes by and feels like a day, and all at the same time, it's still rolling. And I look back and we talk about things that we decided a week ago, and it'd be like last month it's like, that was last week. It's like, oh my God. So, we lost 50% of our revenue overnight when they closed bars, restaurants, and tap rooms, because half of our business is draft beer to bars and restaurants. And then a large percentage of our revenue are our 4 tap rooms, where people come in and have an experience at Sun King and enjoy a pint of beer and fall in love with who Sun King is, and have an option to try a whole bunch of different Sun Kings. So
we're not crying the blues. We're very fortunate. I mean, we do have canned, package, and have a strong relationship with our distributor, Monarch, and they've been able to, move a bunch of product for us. It just doesn't make up for the whole.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation is the same honest conversation we started having with our staff. We fortunately, about a year ago, started doing financial literacy with all of our staff, so that everyone who works at Sun King understood a profit and loss sheet, a cash flow statement, balance sheets, and understood exactly what costs go into running a business. So when all of this hit and we were like, okay, things have completely flipped upside down, people understood what the numbers looked like. They understood why we were forced to make the decisions that we did around staffing and everything that we've done. So we've had these very open conversations. And so, fortunately, our grocery store channel and through our partner Monarch, that's actually increased. And 12 packs of 12-ounce cans are going crazy out there because people are in stock-up mode. We've been super fortunate to have our tap room stay open and be able to serve to-go beer. So we're open 7 days a week for people to come in. When the governor and the ATC put together a plan to allow us to do curbside carryout, that was huge for us, because there are people who aren't comfortable going in places and either want to just get their stuff delivered or pop their trunk and have beer put in it. So we've been really fortunate to have a core group of people who are super faithful. We see you every week stopping down for beer. We see so many of the same faces that we've maybe seen for the last 2 years or 10 years coming through on a weekly basis to stock up and check on us and say hi and buy beer. So we feel very fortunate. We're very grateful.
Yeah, that's great to hear that people have continued to support you. I was just having this conversation earlier today just about how important it is, if you're in a position where you can afford to go out there and still support people, of just like how important it is to really rally behind the places that you love, because it's very easy for them not to be here after all this, because it's not an easy thing to go through. So it's just like, I hate to say it's a responsibility, but if you really love a place and you can afford to do it in a safe and healthy way, like go out there and support the people that you love, because you guys are out there pouring your heart and souls into making sure that you survive. Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen follow some number of friends, been watching what's going on in other parts of the country, people who are in the same position running similar breweries in other places. And I've seen a lot of good messaging and people just talking about the places where you spend your money right now, the breweries and the distilleries and the wineries and the bars and the restaurants and farmers markets and producers. Like where you spend your money now has a huge effect on what's still going to be around after this is over and we get to a new normal.
Yeah. And how has that impacted like your production schedule? It seems like you guys have, if anything, maybe ramped up, staying creative and pushing new stuff out there. With as many tap handles as you guys have, or as many draft lines rather, as you have at the downtown location. Every time I've been in there, it's still constantly varied. Is that stuff that you had kind of on the production schedule beforehand, or are you guys knocking out brand new things as a result of all the changes?
I think some of all of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of things that we were planning on doing, orange vanilla cream ale. Really, God, man, that thing has been a lifesaver.
It's so good.
It's jumped out there. It was a conversation that we had with Monarch Beverage, and they wanted to see something a little different from Sunlight. And so we came up with this guy, and it's been a world beater. So that one was already something that we were planning on doing. And the things that we have, put out as our production calendar is concerned, we are making those things because people still want, if it's Groundhog Day for you, at least we can do is provide you with a different beer experience, every time you come in to get some more beverages and load up. So that's in the mix. But then you have stuff like the Big Tickle, or part of the Hop Tickler family of years, so we're like jokingly like we should make an imperial version of Hop Tickler and call it the Big Tickle. So this beer is actually getting canned tomorrow, as a matter of fact, and will be available in various locations.
Well, it's such a great name. Talk a little bit more about that beer. So obviously it's an imperial version of Hop Tickler, you said?
Hop Tickler started off, I was actually at our R&D facility on 96th Street before we took it down to open up the new one in Fisher's district. And, just walking past the various fermenters, we had written on there the style and the name and all that kind of stuff. And I was talking to the guy who runs production there, Jake. And I said, hey, we got our crispy boys, meaning lagers, and we got, our heavy, thick ambers, and we got our Hop Ticklers over here. And I went, ooh, that's kind of a cool name. And then I came back down the following day for a meeting with Clay, and I said, hey, I think I have a fun name for beer. And he said, yeah.
Yeah, Dave's notorious for a list on his iPhone of various different names that come to him at different times. So a lot of stuff comes out of that list. And we actually we were workshopping it at one of our marketing meetings. And Beth, who everybody on the team really started laughing, but Beth completely cringed and was like, "We are not calling a beer Hop Tickler. Like that is just terrible."
No, we're not.
And so every time we said Hop Tickler, she cringed. And so that kind of drove the point home. We're like, oh yeah, we're totally making Hop Tickler. And so Big Tickle came as a joke out of like what else you could do with all of the various Tickle series.
Well, and you guys are always coming up with very, very creative names. I always appreciate it. Do you have, I feel like you had something that was like along the lines of like Spanish Fly. Am I making this up?
No, I don't think that was us. We did have one that was pretty named that we changed. I think it survived for about 2 years and then became Velour Soccer Mom. So
yeah, that's one of my favorites. And maybe now it's not like it's a bad what is it? It's a bad time for a name like probably Spanish Fly. So you probably wouldn't want to be associated with that anyway.
Not very well. I mean, the connotation behind it seems a little.
But everybody loves tickling.
Yeah,
Big
tickle. Yes, exactly. So we actually have some Big Tickle in a gin barrel. So we'll have a gin tickle coming out after this guy.
Yeah, we haven't lost our sense of whimsy amidst this this whole pandemic. So
And that's important. And that name is like an infinite name, right? Like you can do so many things with it.
yeah, yes, the gin tickle, the Big Tickle. Yeah,
If we had a Bordeaux barrel from France,
Maybe.
maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere near it.
no, I'm not.
So I don't know. I mean, we did have what I kind of was looking. I was looking at our production board today actually, and about a month ago we had what I would consider the dark days because as this hit, we obviously like Monarch, our distributor, had kegs of beer in their warehouse with nowhere to go. We had kegs with nowhere to go. We actually pretty immediately switched everything to cans just because of where we were inventory wise. But then we had a few weeks of this kind of back and forth through our production meeting and planning to be like, okay, well, we're long on this and we're long on this. And we actually had a week where we didn't brew a beer. And that hasn't happened in the entire decade plus history of Sun King. So there was like nothing. We actually were moving out of our Fishers location and doing some other projects. So all of our brewers were like packing up things and doing projects and doing anything they could to keep their hours, but not actually making beer for an entire week.
So in addition to like moving and stuff, did you guys ramp up any production of the distilled spirits or anything like that, since most of that stuff kind of just lays down anyway?
We were able to squeak out a little bit more white whiskey and some more agave spirit, but then we switched to hand sanitizer. So we've been building a surplus of hand sanitizer. The still that we have is kind of on the smallish size for this sort of thing, and you've got to go with a high proof spirit. The end product alcohol content has to be 160 proof. Well, you would be drinking, if it were bottled, say 80 or 90 proof, we would get twice as much volume out of that. So now it's condensed down because of the higher alcohol need for it. So we've been just producing, and I think we've got about 400 32 ounce refills. And we're going to be launching this here in the next week, where you can come in and buy one, kind of the Tom's model, and then we'll donate one as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
To a homeless shelter or other places like Horizon House or.
Yeah, so we did the pivot on the hand sanitizer fairly early, but we have this wonderful employee named Jenny, who's our VP of Governmental Compliance and Affairs. So she's a lawyer, and she makes sure that we do everything by the book. And so a lot of people.
Not that we wouldn't want to.
Not that we wouldn't want to, but by having a Jenny, we're held to a very high standard. And she was actually formerly the prosecutor for the Indiana ATC. So she knows the Indiana alcohol laws in and out. And so when we pivoted to sanitizer, there was still that even though they said, yeah, you can make it, there was still FDA approvals and a bunch of other things that we'd never done. So it took us probably 5 to 6 weeks to just get through all of the regulatory stuff. And a lot of distilleries just went ahead and are like, boom, we're doing sanitizer. They said it's okay. And I don't think that probably anything will come back on them. But for us, we wanted to make sure we did it A, by the letter of the law, and B, that by the time we release it, we have a reasonable supply, because we can make about 100 bottles of it every single week. And we don't want to release it and have it be gone in 5 minutes, and then release it and have it be gone in 5 minutes. And we also wanted to make enough to be able to donate half of it to organizations that are in need. Right.
Yeah. Shout out to Jenny, Drink Culture alum. She's the one that got us connected to begin with. So she's awesome. So in addition to the big tickle, I see another beer there. And then when I was in the tap room, I got a variant of the Lupulin astronaut variant. So talk a little bit about those.
We were just kind of hanging out. We want to, make things fun and fresh. And again, we're in a weird world right now. So what can we do to maybe bring a little bit of smile or a little joy to someone's life? So we started to do some more variants than we have, I think, in the past. and it just turned out to be Lupulin's turn on that front. So we did an internal memo to all of our folks. Hey, what variant would you like to see? And I think we, had about a dozen different ideas. One of them was pizza flavored. I'm kidding. That was actually. But then we just started to, do some flavor additives and some tincture testing of stuff, and went, these guys are the winners. They are bringing it home. So the peach, coconut, and tangerine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you take home?
Tangerine.
Tangerine.
Yeah. It was very, very solid. I think as a Royal Order member, there was an email that went out where you actually got the opportunity to vote on some of that. I could be wrong, but I remember that.
Yeah, you're right. There was a vote. Yep.
So that's awesome. And has that been doing well for you guys?
Yeah, it's a fun value add. I mean, you're going to come in and buy probably bulk, an A12 pack, if you will, of a core that that you're going to enjoy, and then go, hey, I'm going to take a flyer on 32 ounces of X, Y, or Z thing, and then have that as a little extra.
I worked in the tap room on Friday, and I mean, people who are hopheads want to try new things anyway, and Lupulin's been a good brand, a seasonal brand for us for a few years. So I served a lot of people who were excited for different things. And, like coconut was the one that surprised me the most, because I was like, really, coconut IPA? And then I tried it, and that was actually my favorite. I was like, wow, I really like this. It's really nice. So.
And so if you pay attention, if you get a little nerdy with beer, you kind of see a lot of blogs writing about kind of this return to flagships during this time. Have you seen a lot of that? I feel like your brewery to begin with has always been you guys really celebrate your core beers and people really love them. But have you seen an increase in sales just in terms of how much percentage wise that is selling?
Yeah, we, again, 12 packs because people are volume buying. Actually, Sunlight, which is our number one seller, pretty much our flagship, in grocery, it's up 57%.
Wow.
So 12 packs of Sunlight are up really high. We actually had this guy in process, which is the 12-ounce Osiris 12-pack from back in February. So this starts hitting grocery store shelves soon too. And it really, I mean, we used to sell a good amount of core beer. We always had really solid sales, but it was actually, we'd sell a little bit more 6-pack than 12-pack. And in light of the pandemic, we still sell a lot of 6-packs, but 12-packs are really the things that have jumped up, because people are going to the store less, and they know they're going to drink them. The pricing on 12-packs is pretty good, and so they're like, yeah, I'm just going to grab a couple of these and be on my way.
The return to core thing is huge, and case in point is WeMac, which in 12-pack format it's done okay. Mostly it's a 6-pack kind of thing, but its sales have been very, very, very level for a very, very long time. And right now, Sunlight's killing it, but WeMac 12-packs are up about 25%.
Wow.
Yeah, and we expect the 12-pack of Osiris to really start coming off the bench for us and driving some sales.
And does that guide any decisions for the future of okay, when things are back to normal, have these habits become new habits for some of our fans of our beer? They will continue to drink at this pace of these beers because they've rediscovered how much they like them and because of the value?
Yeah, I think that a lot of that's
certainly the hope. It's definitely one of those things, I think, that these type of uncertain times cause people to move back to things that they're comfortable with and that make them feel comfortable. So drinking your old favorite, even though you may have strayed from it and been buying a lot of other beers, becomes something that is very comforting. So, I think we have that going for us. It's very trustworthy. I think that we are a trusted brand, and that people know that we make really well-balanced beers, that they're going to be good. Eminently quaffable. There we go. To use a term we used to use a long time ago, actually, it was on the WeMac can. But so, and we're actually, the restrictions are some loosening, we don't know really what's going on. We talk about it a lot, everybody views this differently, and everybody has their own personal lens that they view it from. And so the three of us probably feel very differently about a lot of different things around it. And so I think we're going to see social distancing continue. There's a lot of people who aren't comfortable getting out and about. We're moving into summer and there's not a lot of events and other things, but people are still going to barbecue and gather in their backyard. So I feel like probably our 12-pack trajectory is going to be moving along pretty well throughout the year. And then the hope is that you get that return to like, oh man, I really love that beer. I forgot how much I love that, and that the buying pattern continues.
Right. Right. And this probably doesn't need to be said, but I know that it dawned on me throughout some of these conversations. But just because people don't go to support you at the tap room, buying a 12-pack at the grocery store at the end of the day is very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
It is, or growlers for other restaurants that have to-go sales as well. So if you're picking up, food from your favorite XYZ place and they've got Sun King on tap, they're sure as hell going to sell you the growler.
Yeah. So I want to start wrapping it up here, but I want to talk about things that are exciting and new that you guys have coming on the horizon. And then also you guys have got some really great deals going on as well. I know the Lupulin, it's like a 4-pack and a Crowler deal that you've got going. Things are starting to reopen here this Friday in Marion County. And some of your other restaurants kind of in Carmel and Fishers, things like that are starting to reopen. So get people excited for the weather, you guys opening back up, things starting to loosen up a bit that want to go out there and explore.
Yeah, we are currently open for in-person dining and drinking experiences in both Fishers and Carmel. Both of those are we're actually pretty fortunate overall. We've got pretty large facilities. So even with social distancing in mind, we've got room for a number of guests to comfortably interact with each other. So Dave and I personally spent time in each of our locations last week going over the spacing and making sure that everything looked and felt right, and working with our retail operations manager, Troy, and our GMs for our locations just to make sure that procedures were in place for opening for the outside Marion County this week and for whenever we're able to open our Marion County locations. So, we got tables spread apart. We've always been clean freaks. If you've ever taken a brewery tour, you know how clean our facility is. So, we've got an extra emphasis on sanitation, bringing in extra people to sanitize things throughout shifts, bringing in extra people to work the door, to instruct people, make sure they find a seat, make sure that we're keeping capacity in mind.
Clicking in and out.
Yeah. Our food partners in Carmel and Fishers, Little Dumpling is open in Fishers, and then in Carmel we've got Pie and the Den are both open. La Margue's working on getting open here after a bit. In the next maybe month or so. So we're kind of rolling those things in, and then the Marion County regulations are a little different. So we've got fortunately we've got decent patio spaces downtown and in Broad Ripple. Each one holds about 35 people. So downtown, when all of this hit, our food partner Oka, actually Chris and Molly decided to pull back and focus on goose and smoking goose. So they moved out. And throughout this process, we've been in conversations with John from La Margarita. So he's got equipment moving in, and as soon as he's health department approved and we're ready to reopen and are able to reopen, downtown taproom will reopen with a brand new food partner, which is a new concept called Nacho by La Margarita. So we'll have a taco bar inside Sun King. Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to touch on real quick before we get too far from it. So this whole week, Fishers and Carmel has been open for people to start going back.
Yes.
Okay. What has the feedback been like? When you talk to your managers, the people that are running those spaces, have they been well attended? Like, what's the overall feel for people that have been going in there?
I think people are kind of, they'll come in, and kind of go, okay, is this okay? Can I come in? It's just a lot of trepidation, but from our staff, they're doing cartwheels, back handsprings, like, yes, there are people, yay! We love people.
Yeah, our staff's really excited to see the people that they work with and see some of the customers that have become friends. And so they're super excited to come back. I think we've had really good feedback. Our spaces are set up well. There's distance, but it doesn't feel too distant, and
It doesn't feel empty.
Yeah. So, so I think people are excited. We've only had a few days, and when the weather has been better, Monday was kind of blah outside. So Tuesday and Wednesday were a lot better, and we're going into a weekend. So it's still early to tell, but we're getting calls all the time, like every few minutes, are you open, and what food partners are open. And so we've got that going, and we'll be ready for it downtown. Broad Ripple, we kind of have the same situation. Our food partner there actually is switching over. It's the same folks, but we're moving from offshore to a concept called the Village Kitchen, which is all like sandwiches and shareables that we feel like fits the area a little bit better. So we'll have new food partners downtown and in Broad Ripple.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you guys are able to pivot quickly and make adjustments when needed. So I have a couple. I'm trying out this new game. So I'm going to put down my headphones. I'm going to go get these cards, and I'm going to ask you guys a couple of random questions. I don't know what they're going to be. I took out all the really, really bad ones that have like sex and like family members involved with them. So I'll let you think about that. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks. We'll just stand here awkwardly while you.
I'm out of here. Just kidding. Beverage time.
You could leave when it's gone.
Oh, they disappeared.
Just kidding.
Okay, so for my birthday, I got this game called Ask the Internet. So if you guys are familiar with Barstool Sports, they have this game called Ask the Internet, and they're very inappropriate questions, but I got a stack this big that I pulled out that are all the ones that I think would be appropriate to ask. So we're going to ask 3 of these.
At random.
At random. So, okay, here we go. If you could pick a fake name, what would it be?
I mean, you have kind of a fake name.
My alter ego is Clay Laser, but that's really close to my real name. So.
Are you spelling that laser with an S or a Z?
A Z, of course. So much faster.
That's right. Yeah.
It's so much faster. Yeah, with little lightning bolts and hands and the Z. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really given it.
I know lately when we do conference calls and we call in to folks, we usually, Dave will put on his best radio voice, and every time he'll introduce us as someone different, like Clark and Don or Carl and
Dale.
Yeah.
Hey, you're on the air with Clark and Dale.
I love it. Yeah, I've been using the name Kilgore Trout. I've been reading a lot of Vonnegut, and so I've been using the name Kilgore Trout a lot for like Jackbox games that we've been playing. All right, we're gonna move on. Next question. Here we go. If you were stuck in any food and had to eat your way out of it, what would it be?
Cherry pie. I mean, I absolutely adore cherry pie. It's something that I grew up in northern Indiana, going into Michigan, picking cherries with my grandmother, and she was just so good at making cherry pie.
I just eat my way out of a pizza.
Hell yeah, I'm on the same page as you. Although cherry pie does sound delicious.
I wouldn't be mad at a pizza or a giant taco or.
All right, that was a bad one. I didn't like this one. So different one. Last one here. Okay. This is a good one. Would you rather have no music for the rest of your life or have all the music be sung to you by your significant other?
No music for the rest of your life or only music sung by your significant other?
Yes.
With musical accompaniment.
Is it like she's doing karaoke?
It's
and music behind it, or she's just, either way, I'm taking my partner.
It's a cappella.
Can't live without music. So
yeah, the interesting point would be whether or not they actually have access to the lyrics or know the lyrics. Like if you just had to go off memory, I'd be terrible.
I'd just be fun to make it all up.
Yeah.
This guy makes up songs all the time.
All the time.
Like, don't I know that tune? Those aren't the words. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm absolutely the worst with lyrics. Well, thank you guys for playing that game. One last time, locations, where are they? Where can people go pick up delicious Sun King beer? And kind of given this time, what are some of the restrictions that they should be aware of when they're going there, like hours or anything like that?
Well, that's an easy question with very few parts. So obviously you can pick up Sun King wherever delicious beer is sold. Our grocery, liquor store, retail partners all have it. If you're buying Sun King, you're supporting Sun King, and we're grateful for their partnership throughout this whole thing. If you want to venture out to a Sun King location, we have downtown, Broad Ripple, Fishers District, and Midtown Carmel. So we got 4 locations out there. All of them are open 7 days a week. Right now, the Fishers and Carmel are open for in-person dining and drinking experiences. Carmel opens at 3 Monday through Wednesday and 11 Thursday through Sunday. Fishers is open at 11 a.m. 7 days a week, and then Broad Ripple's open at 3, I think. Broad Ripple's open.
Carmel hours.
Broad Ripple mirrors Carmel's hours, and then downtown pretty much mirrors Fishers' hours, but it's closed a little bit early. I think Fishers is open until 9, whereas downtown closes around 7. So all of our hours are on our website, obviously, sunkingbrewing.com, because with 4 locations, there's a little bit of variation between each one. And in different counties, there's different variations on what you can do. But
I would say on behalf of the Sun King staff, thanks for everybody for their support. But know when you come into a location, we're doing our damnedest to make it a comfortable experience for you and a safe one at that. So please be patient. This is all brand new to us too. So we're getting used to it, and we're getting better every day.
Yeah, I think another really important thing that we're trying to stress and keep in mind is that if you're not comfortable coming into a Sun King location and you're a delivery or a curbside person and you don't want to contact people, we do not deliver beer, but Drizzly delivers Sun King beer to areas around Indianapolis. But all 4 Sun King locations, you can order online or call ahead. Our menu is on our website, and you can say, I need this, 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 and this. They will take your order. They will charge your card. You come down to the location, you pull up, you call, you pop your trunk, and we put it in. So if you're comfortable coming in, we've got you covered, and we'd love to see you, and our staff would love to entertain you. And if you're not comfortable coming in, we've still got we've got 20 some beers on tap at each location for people to try. A lot of really new and interesting things that, because of these days and not a lot of bars and restaurants and people's return to core beers, we've got a lot of unique and fun things at all of our locations.
Awesome. And I promise this is the very last one. Are you guys planning to do anything to celebrate the anniversary this year?
I was looking at you and thinking about how much you love our anniversry party, and
it's my wedding anniversary. So yeah, it's my favorite time of the year.
We are actually storyboarding right now a virtual show hosted by Clive and Don here, where we sort of take the best of the artists that we've had in past stages. I mean, the videos are on our YouTube channel, but kind of, click and enjoy.
Yeah, so we're putting together something. Grapefruit Jungle gets brewed on June 3rd, and it will be ready to roll out to stores like around probably June 20th or so. And I think June 27th is the date that we're putting down for this virtual anniversary party. So we're in talks and working with our partners, because we sponsor a lot of live music at the Vogue, the Hi-Fi, and Dukes, and working with the Indiana Independent Venue Alliance to really help and highlight what they've got going on. And our partners over at WTTS, so kind of working with the partners we're involved with in music, and maybe trying to highlight a few nonprofit partners throughout and put a little something together so that at least people have a chance to go out, pick up GFJ, and we can all hang out safely in our homes and raise a toast.
Yeah, I love it, man. And that honestly is like my favorite time of the year. So I'm excited
to do a guest spot.
Ooh.
Oh, me. Oh, I would love that. That'd be awesome. Thank you guys so much for giving us some time. I'm surely excited to go try the Big Tickle. So you said that'll be available next week?
It'll be available next week. If you come, it might be available downtown tomorrow after we've packaged it. We just won't have time to run it around to all the locations. But next week, everybody will have it.
Awesome. It's a fake can.
It was part of a mock-up. The case is actually empty too. So.
Oh my gosh, it's all a sham. Is that a fake background? There are no barrels.
It's one of our Zoom backgrounds. We're not actually surrounded by hundreds of delicious barrels full. But wait, we are. surrounded.
Where's the one that has the glass in front of it so we can see it?
Oh, hold on, I'll unplug. It's right over here.
Ah, yes. What's in that one right now?
It's really just display because the oxygen that kind of gets in there.
It's probably bad.
Yeah, whatever beer is in there is pretty much garbage, but it gives you a good idea of what's actually happening inside of a
The
barrel.
original base was cherry Busey,
Mm,
but because of the big amount of oxygen coming through, because all the wood isn't wet, that it's not the tastiest thing, but you can see, or as you plainly saw, there's some cool stuff working in there. And so it's great to kind of go, oh, that's what's happening in these hundreds of barrels around.
It's a learning tool.
It looks like a planet.
Yeah, it's the surface of the moon.
Right. Well, I love talking to you guys. Thank you so much. Like I said, excited to try some of the new beers and can't wait to enjoy a full experience at my favorite Sun King location. So
awesome. We appreciate your support.
For sure, man. You guys take it easy.
Stay safe out there, everybody.